Good morning and good afternoon to everyone out there. Welcome to episode 64, would you believe, of the Leading IT podcast. Today we're going to discuss the avalanche of AI and cybersecurity announcements from Microsoft's Ignite 2024. It's their biggest annual conference. And we're going to do something a little bit different this year because Microsoft released so much news at the same time. We're going to split it into two podcasts. So today's podcast, we're going to cover off all the Copilot AI and Fabric news. And in the second podcast, which we'll release next week, we'll cover all the Power Platform and cybersecurity news. So really exciting stuff came out. A lot of really things that have been talked about for a while are here. So I'm looking forward to an exciting session. So your hosts are Tom Layden, who's the CIO at Longview. G'day, Tom.
G'day, Josh. I hope you've watched all the videos as well.
I have. There's only 100 hours of them, and I've got all of them. Or I've got Chat GPT to watch it. You know what? I actually heard that there's an AI tool that you can give it content and it will create a podcast for you in your voice.
Oh, right. Oh, good. That's good to hear.
So right. Just so you know that the next podcast won't be from us. It'll be from people pretending to be us. And as long as we can toggle the poor jokes and bad humor, thing, people won't need us and they can use our image. Mate, we're done. What do we need to do?
Looking forward.
So if you knew, we take a pragmatic and straight up view from different sides of the table. So Tom's a CIO. I'm a CIO of a consulting firm called Empyrean, and we really focus on AI, cybersecurity, Power Platform, cloud and infrastructure, strategy, and leadership. So shall we do a bit of normal news just to get started?
Go for it, Josh. What have you got, mate?
All right, so there's a few things, and one of them's pretty big. So the Australian Cybersecurity Act was passed into law earlier this week, so it's quite significant. There's a lot there. I did have to go through quite a few articles to sort of get down to what actually it is. So the first thing is there's going to be minimum cybersecurity standards for smart devices. So that's a pretty good thing given how big IoT and everything's becoming smart. So they're going to have minimum specifications for people to be able to sell these devices in Australia. Mandatory ransomware reporting for certain businesses to report ransomware payments.
Yep.
Basically, if you turn over more than $3 million, it's mandatory.
Yeah, good.
And the fine is a minimum of $93,600 if you don't. So just a small slap on the wrist. What else is happening? So they have established a cybersecurity incident review board. So where they're going to have what we call blameless postmortems. So after you've had an incident, even if you have paid the ransom, they're going to allow collaboration between government and industry to review the incident, and even if they have paid, so you won't get into trouble if you report and you do things in time. So that's pretty good. So I have a bit of a safe harbour, so to speak, there. That's also important. And the other bit is the SOCI Act, so Security of Critical Infrastructure Act from 2018 has had an update. And the update was based on some of the major data leaks that happened in the last couple of years, so Medibank and Optus, because the data was on internal storage devices, it wasn't covered by the Act. So what they're now doing is they're bringing data that sits on internal storage, if it's meaningful to the Australian population, it's now going to be covered under the Security of Critical Infrastructure Act. So that's been broadened. So that's gonna mean those sorts of organisations are really going to have to step up their game in terms of data protection and data security.
Yep. all good though, right? I mean, there's nothing that's you'd say was unreasonable. I think it's what people expect of organisations these days.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've covered most of it. So I think that the key sort of takeaways are organisations should review and uplift their cyber response plans to ensure that they align with the mandatory ransomware reporting requirements. So if you go through something that it's not ad hoc, you have a playbook, and part of that playbook is you do the reporting within 3 days. Otherwise, you're going to cop a $93,000 fine. What else? Yeah, and the new protection, and you've got to uplift if you have that sort of data that's sort of in the public interest, you're going to have to uplift your data protection capabilities. So those are the main things. Yeah.
Well, I think, look, if you're following a standard, then you're going through a process of being certified. Then I think you'll comply with these laws. Really, isn't it? It's just, from my mind, it's just to get the bad operators out there, people taking shortcuts, or the businesses that aren't focusing on this. That was my view of this. But for most people who are following the standards, getting certified, the right programs in place, I don't see any problem with any of this.
Yeah. It sort of makes sense, and it's good that it's passed into actual law now.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. My next news is a little more, a little less serious. We're going to talk about NVIDIA shares. So talking about Jensen Huang, who now has the highest, most highly valued company in the world, just by the way.
Yes.
Their third quarter, the revenue in the third quarter nearly doubled, growing 94% year over year to $35.1 billion, beating Wall Street's expectation by a couple of billion. And they're talking about there's a very high demand for their new Blackwell GPUs.
Yeah.
And even though it beat Wall Street's expectations on revenue by $2 billion, the stock price was down 2%.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me, please, Tom?
No, clearly I can't explain that. But what I struggle to understand is, why isn't there more competition in this space? Why is it just NVIDIA? Surely there must be options for people out there, and those companies must be. Are they just not getting the attention? And they're there, but maybe they're undervalued. I don't know.
I think it's coming in late. I mean, NVIDIA's had so many years. I mean, AMD's there.
Yeah.
Intel. I mean, Microsoft, as you know, they're releasing their own stuff, as you would have seen, but they're all late.
Yeah, and it's a very capital intensive industry, so there's a first mover advantage. I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't see how sustainable. I just don't understand how they can sustain that lead forever. But I'm wrong.
Well, maybe that's what the analysts are thinking. They're saying, well, your business is all of it's from their data center business. Most of the growth is, and the revenues from their data. Maybe they don't think it's sustainable. They're seeing AMD come in, Microsoft, Intel. Yeah, maybe they think
the freight train.
Yeah. So maybe that's why. But and the last bit of news is that HPE have gotten into the hypervisor market.
What is it, like 1998 again?
Well, I mean, Broadcom's doing such a good job of, annoying, gouging, ripping off customers that, everyone's getting into. I mean, as everyone knows, we love VMware as a product and a solution, but some of the things they're doing in the market are not right. And,
right.
Yeah.
So, that's good news, isn't it? That's good news. If there's options, deeper options for it.
So, I mean, the key thing is, and I'm not going to spend much more time on this. So, it's based on KVM, and it's not just a hypervisor. So, you have to buy it as part of the full GreenLake management stack. So, you can't just say, well, I've got my server in SAN and I'm just going to replace it, going to buy HP's KVM. No, it's only as part of a fully managed solution you can get their hypervisor. So, anyway, interesting move. Interesting to see how it's going to move, but from what I'm seeing on the ground with some customers, what Broadcom are doing is unfortunately unfriendly. Would be kind, but gouging would be it's just not. Things like mandatory 200% increases on previous. It's just not. It's not right.
Yeah, people don't forget that, right?
No. No.
So they'll be actively looking to get them out of their environments.
Yeah. It's not. It's not right. It's not right. At some point, customers don't like to be pushed around and put into corners, and
all the budget's just been taken up in essentially compliance or licensing issues. It's outrageous, right?
Yeah, and if you don't, if your business is going through a tough time, you just can't do it. So off you go to Hyper-V or something else. All right, Ignite 2020-24, boom.
Do it, mate. Let's get into it.
Lots happening. So the first thing I wanted to get into is just more talk about the investment in AI. Yes. And Microsoft did engage IDC to do a study around. Did you see this one?
Yep.
Yeah. So happy for you to lead, or I can just go through some of the numbers. What would you like to do?
I tell you what, maybe before, can I just get your general impression of this whole program? Right, it's probably the most they're just throwing stuff at us. Man, the amount of change was enormous. What was your overall takeaway? Was it they're going in the right directions? Exciting? Was it overwhelming? What was your overall feel for the whole thing?
I think the strategy is really good, and I'll get into and I will explain why a little bit later. I really like I like the fact that Microsoft are positioning themselves as the central, that whole UI of AI is I think a very, very smart strategy, and I really like it. I think it is moving too fast. I don't think customers can keep up. They're not able to get a lot of them are not able to get the fundamentals in place fast enough to keep up. So while you're still doing your POC on your chatbot on your website, the releases are 10 to 11 steps ahead of that, right? As you'll see in today's. So I think they're going very, very far ahead of the market, and however, they're setting the pace, and and I think I also really like how much focus there is on security, governance, compliance. So they're not just pushing the front end; they're also heavily investing in governance, compliance, security, ease of use. So I'm that's sort of my gut feeling. What did you think, Tom?
Similar to you, I think they're going faster than people can absorb. The market can absorb.
Yeah,
and there's a disconnect there, I think. However, they're breathing new life into existing products, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Word, Team, Excel, Outlook become completely new beasts, which is really interesting, right? We'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, these are new ways of doing things. I do like how they're becoming the platform for AI. That makes so much sense. But man, the change is phenomenal. Like the rate of change is unbelievable. And I struggle with my business just to explain what Copilot is. And they're like, Copilot, that's yesterday's news. We're talking about agents that do stuff and blah, 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 blah. It's like, what's it?
The agentic era, I mean, come on. Who made that up? The agentic. I mean, you play a drinking game. How many times can we say agentic in the next session? I'll try my best. I'll get some tequila out, Tom. All right, so let's get into this study. So they're saying that organisations that are investing in AI are realising a 10x return, so not 5x, 10. So that's interesting.
I thought the figure was $3.70. For every dollar they invested, there was an ROI of $3.70.
Exactly. So I that looks like 3.7 times, not 10x. But that was my but it doesn't sound as good. Tom. Yeah. So what it's saying is that customers are largely deploying out of the box Gen AI solutions and seeing significant ROI, but most of the surveyed organisations will be expecting to build custom AI applications over the next couple of years, and that today's ROI is about building competitive edge. So Gen AI usage jumped from 55% in 2023 to 75% in 2024. So if you're not doing it, you're missing the party. Get in, I think is what that means. for every dollar a company invests in generative AI, the ROI is $3.70, 3.7x. On average, AI deployments are taking less than 8 months, but getting value within 13. What else? The ROI is highest in financial services, followed by media and telco, mobility, retail and consumer goods, energy, manufacturing, healthcare, and education. What's your why? Financial services, is that because it's so manual? What's the
not a lot knowledge workers, right? So there's a lot of back office process driven knowledge type stuff. So,
Okay.
my takeaway was anything that had a strong knowledge worker, office worker base was huge.
Okay.
And anecdotally, what I'm hearing is that a lot of people are using this as a driver to push more offshore and then skilling up offshore people with AI to get their ROIs.
Well, I heard someone say exactly that and saying, well, if in the past where we'd offshore it, we are going to now AI it instead.
Yeah.
Because if we're saying if we're saying that offshore is repetitive tasks, well, that's the best use case for AI.
But also they're saying, well, hang on, offshore was low skill, but now offshore with AI is actually
fair enough.
Skill.
So
all those sysadmin type roles, database admin roles, bloody hell, like they're just pouring out offshore. That's what's happening. And then the guys overseas are sitting there with ChatGPT, whatever agents are embedded into their systems and doing the job of what took 3 people before, So that's what I'm saying. So I'm hearing anecdotally that's what the ROI is.
Yeah, well, you'd like to think that help desks should be able to be significantly reduced. At level 1, you should, if you had 5, you should be able to get to 2 within the next, surely, with where the technology, is. The primary way organisations are monetising AI through productivity, although in the next 24 months will be focused on functional industry, and the barrier is technical and day-to-day AI skills. So I thought that was an interesting trend. I mean, we all know that Microsoft, and a lot of vendors do self-serving surveys, and that's fine. We all accept that, but there has to be, where there's smoke, there's fire. There has to be something. There's something there. They can't totally make that up. I don't think they are.
No. There is definitely evidence of that, but I do think it's probably the big end of town where people are getting the value because they've got the right people to make this happen. My feeling is that middle organisations are struggling a bit to value, right?
Yeah, they need help. All right, so let's get into the Microsoft 365 and talk about the out-of-the-box agents. So Microsoft have released about 20 agents templates that customers can go in and customize or deploy and get working with. So they're ready to go, which is pretty exciting. So agents in SharePoint is now generally available. So users can create, if you've got M365 Copilot, that is, you can create your own agent that's customized to your site, your folders, your business processes, and they can be, edited to have a personalized name, and then you can share it, across with other users in the organization. And also, it integrates with all your permissions and sensitivity labels if you've got Purview. So absolutely, getting Microsoft Purview and your labeling and your permissioning done is something that, everyone needs to do. And this is generally available. So, geez, if you're head of IT, you'd be wanting to get ahead of that because you don't want, if you do have autonomous agents out there looking at data, you'd want to make sure that data is secure and protected, and only the right users have access to that.
I thought the SharePoint agent was really cool because a lot of policy material, guides, how-tos, onboarding type stuff's in SharePoint. So to be able to turn that into an agent chatbot style thing that makes a lot of sense. I think I don't know. I think the security issues, I feel like people are probably already on top of maybe, but if not, don't turn the agent on until you've got your executive file share under control, right?
Well, the challenge is that a lot of customers have Business Premium or M365 E3,
Yes.
and you don't get enough purview in there to be able to do what you need to do. So you need to get the compliance add-on. It's not that expensive. It's like $15 or whatever. And that gives you all the automation so that you can, once you set a policy, it will automatically prevent users or agents from accessing things they're not allowed to. So there has been a bit of reluctance to get that extra spend into licensing, and there is an implementation cost as well, and some organisations have been a little reluctant to get into that. Other agents that are there's an employee self-service agent. Yep. So all your HR stuff, so a user can get, payroll information, leave. I like this, a facilitator agent. So in Teams meetings, you can have someone there who will take real-time notes, collaborate, give you a summary. So it's just an agent that will look like a person that's sitting within your Teams meeting. An interpreter agent. This is pretty cool. So real-time interpretation in Teams meetings of up to 9 languages.
Yep.
So that each participant can speak and listen in the language of their choice.
I see that in action though.
Yes, I have. I saw the demo. And the other thing you can do is that you can have the interpreter simulate your own voice. Like that? It can simulate your voice in Japanese.
Really?
Well, whatever. I'm just saying it would be funny.
I've seen the demos, Brian. What is that like in reality? I really want to know.
Yeah.
Does it actually really work? Really? Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure our listeners.
It's in preview early next year. It will be in preview. And the project manager agent, all those expensive PMs. So this can create a plan from scratch, assign tasks, track progress. So this is all in Microsoft Planner, do your notifications and status reporting also in preview. So that's pretty exciting how these agent capabilities are like giving you templates, giving you a way to start on it in a simple way. Yeah.
I say I've seen the team stuff in action, the notes particularly. It's fantastic. We've got some really big committee meeting type stuff going on, and the minutes and actions it pulls out of this stuff is pretty impressive, frankly.
Well, good. Well, there's some good stuff coming up for you. So that was all. There's some exciting stuff coming up for your team stuff. So that was all for M365 Copilot, that update. So the next bit, this is about Copilot Studio. So Copilot Studio is the low-code Copilot builder, is now introducing autonomic agentic capabilities. I got an agentic plug. Yes, exactly. So what does that mean? So what it means is that a maker can build an agent that can take actions on their behalf without having to prompt the agent. So it can act in the background, respond to a trigger like receiving an email or a database update or whatever. So there's templates, as we said, so additional templates, things like lead management agents, sales agent, deal acceleration agents. So they're also putting agents templates within Copilot Studio for people to build their own custom ones. So the other ones before were M365 end user based ones. And these are ones that you can templates for more enterprise use. So this isn't just personal use. This is more enterprise wide. And this is the exciting thing, Tom, is, well, firstly, Azure AI has been renamed Azure Foundry.
Yep.
So just in case, but they're doing now full integration between Azure AI or Azure Foundry and Copilot Studio. So that was a really big limitation for Copilot Studio, is that you couldn't build a bot in Copilot Studio that used the vector search, and now you can. So they've got that connector, so that will really improve the quality of the responses you get from an agent built using, well, I'm already using the word agent, using Copilot Studio. And now you can access the 1800 LLMs that are in Azure AI Foundry via Copilot Studio. So they're significantly improving the capability of the low-code Copilot platform. And now, this is the exciting bit. So now there are new multimodal capabilities based on the 4 Omni release. So you can add generative AI to your voice solutions, including things like IVR. So
Yeah.
you can have an agent that will review all your call center calls and ask it questions about voice data, but also video and images.
Right. Okay, cool.
So this is the game changer. So you can now that full multimodal experience. Microsoft are saying is ready for the prime time, and they're releasing this out into the market now.
I saw the images piece and video as well, so they can actually look at video.
Yep. Video is coming. Yep. Yeah. There's a particular release on it. And the other thing that I really like is that this whole thing called the Copilot control system.
Yeah.
So it's a collection of IT capabilities to help you secure, manage, control, and deploy. So as I said earlier, I really like Microsoft's focus on secure and safe AI experiences. Okay. Now this is the. I thought this bit was pretty exciting. So makers can now enable agents with real-time knowledge from third-party sources such as Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Zendesk.
Yeah.
So essentially all it's doing is indexing the metadata from the table, so it can answer questions from these sources without moving the data.
Yeah,
so this is the strategy bit, right? So if these third-party applications are going to have an agent it's a Microsoft agent. So if you've got a ServiceNow agent that's part of your Microsoft ecosystem, or a Zendesk or a Salesforce agent, then this is Microsoft's strategy. So if you think in most companies you have 50, 100, 200 software applications in your business. Now each of those vendors is building their own AI to go on their software. So if you're a user, where are you going to use 200 bits of AI bits? Or what Microsoft's saying is no, use ours. We're the UI, we're the user interface for AI, but we're going to have all the connectors and the agents to all your third-party sources, but all the security and permissioning is going to be there. So you're not going to have to worry about each particular application. It's all centralized through Microsoft. And that is why I like Microsoft's strategy, Tom. And I know it feels, from my side of the table, it feels really smart. What do you think as a sort of end user?
Yeah, but the vendors have to play along, right? So, like for example, Salesforce needs to make a decision around how open are they going to become an API to Microsoft and get rid of all the eyeballs. They're not going to give that up, right? So they want people to go into Salesforce and use Salesforce and license Salesforce's APIs or AI. So I think although Microsoft have this idea, it will just be the thing in the middle. I'm surprised the vendors will give that up. Really,
but that's the announcement they have.
To what extent though? So I don't know. I'd like to see that in action.
Oh well, mate, yeah. I think you guys use some Salesforce. Where you at?
HubSpot.
Okay.
HubSpot aren't playing this game.
No. Okay.
Because they go, well, guess what? We've got our own Copilot,
that's what I'm saying. Is everyone's going to have their own copilots? Microsoft is saying,
well, I agree with the problem.
Yeah,
see the problem happening.
Yeah,
but yeah, Microsoft just magically reaching into every other app and pulling together. But I love that. I would love that to happen.
Okay. So I mean, I'm not going to. All I can say is, unless Microsoft are lying, they've announced it.
No, I agree. I understand that they've announced it. I just wonder how far it goes in.
Okay.
And how much you can automate before you just go, you know what, Salesforce is now just essentially a database. You don't have to go into Salesforce anymore. It's essentially an expensive database. That'd be really interesting. I'd be surprised if, say, Salesforce, for example, lets that happen. But to the extent that you're talking about, like, I understand there's doors open now, but how far do they go?
I think if I was them, I mean, it's like either, if you can't beat them, join them. I mean, they're not going to beat Microsoft. They're not going to beat Microsoft.
I'd love that to happen. So if someone comes into your website and engages your chat, and then you can go through your CRM and your bloody ERP and you gather all this information and you learn.
Yeah.
It's a dream, right? Absolute dream. Yeah, well, fingers crossed that they can pull that off.
Well, marketing, reality, but Microsoft are generally pretty good.
They are.
Generally they pull off. Now, how much does this cost? So, interesting, Tom. So there's two options here. So they've announced a new option. So the with Copilot, so you can either buy a pack, so you can get a 25,000 message. You can get a 25,000 message pack for $200 a month.
1,000 message for that. Right, okay. How many messages do I need? I don't know.
What?
Working that.
I was saying that's not a lot. It's not a lot of dollars. Or they've just released a pay-as-you-go, which is 1 cent per message, which equates to basically $250 US for 25,000 messages. So it's slightly more expensive than a pay-as-you-go. Or you could buy these packs for 25,000 messages, and then obviously once you've got your 25,000, you'll get another pack. So I suppose the point I'm making is it's not expensive.
Well, it doesn't seem it.
No.
For these things, I'm so wary about the sort of unit type pay per thing.
Yeah.
But no, it's not clear how many things you actually. What is a message? How many messages do you actually need? It's
a prompt. So if you're having, you'd think it'd have to be a fairly high use application to get to 25,000 messages in a month, and it's $200.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So the only point I'm making is it seems very reasonable to me. And then this whole concept now of these autonomous agents, so which are systems that operate autonomously on behalf of a process or a company.
Yeah.
So it can they expect every employee will have a Copilot and will be supported by many agents. So you can design an agent to select events, like an email coming in to respond, and then trigger a chain of actions.
Yeah.
So, for example, I like this example. So an agent, so if you get a quote request come in, the agent can assess the intent of the email, look up the details, see prior communications, check stock levels, respond to the sender, and send them a quote. And if you want, you can get someone to check it before it goes out. So that's pretty powerful.
That's unreal.
That's pretty powerful, Tom. So that's this whole concept of autonomous.
I love it.
And OpenAI have released a new model called the 001, which is more sort of focused for these autonomous agents.
Yes.
It has advanced reasoning and can solve complex problems. So that's what they're going to be using with these agents. So triggers can be system database triggers, can be scheduled to run hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. So again, what we said earlier, it feels far away for a lot of organizations, but it also feels like maybe, you need to get into it and give it a try. And
100%.
The tools are there now, so it'll be picking something.
Yeah, the low hanging fruit for this stuff is, as you say, like you need watching email for repetitive tasks. So in your world, it's a quote for this, or in other worlds, it's a maintenance type request. So my washing machine's broken, or that doesn't work, or blah blah blah. Or hey, I'm not coming into work today because of blah blah blah. Or those kind of things that trigger boring work. I think that's where this stuff eats it up, right? Maintenance activities, basic requests. Yeah, it should be tried. It's accessible now to start to make
Yeah, exactly. Call in your friendly consultancy. We know someone. All right. Sorry, Tom. Right. Okay. So this is Copilot Studio will now enable image upload. So you can upload images to your Copilot and have agents analyze the image and engage in Q&A. So this is powered by GPT 4.0.
Yeah.
So it will save users time, so you won't have to translate data from images. This is in preview, and you can build voice-enabled agents.
Yeah.
Geez, that's pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then there's this whole thing about Copilot as a UI for AI, which we've covered off, and then the Copilot control system. So it has data protection, SharePoint Advanced Management. Actually, this is pretty cool. So if you have a Copilot, they're going to give you SharePoint Advanced Management for free coming in early 2025. So that gives you the ability to address oversharing in SharePoint with content governance, reporting controls. It's not Purview, but it does give you something. So at least you can get started. And then it gives you the ability to view management controls so you can see what people are doing, how it's working and all that sort of stuff. So there's that. Right, now this is the Copilot in Teams. So this is preview in early 2025. So Teams, Copilot, Microsoft 365, so we're back to M365 Copilot, will be able to analyze content presented in Teams meetings. So it will be reason over any content shared on the screen. So whether it's from a website, whether it's from a PowerPoint, so you can ask Copilot to summarize the content. For example, which product has the higher sales, or consolidate insights. That's pretty exciting, or review a spreadsheet for you. And it will also now summarize the content of files shared in Teams chat. So if someone in a meeting says, here's the PowerPoint, here's the file about that, you can actually ask it to summarize it without opening the file. How cool is that? So that team stuff that you're already getting value out of is now even to the next level. And I don't think you or I were expecting it to come out this fast. I don't know about you. I thought that was going to. I thought that was science fiction.
Yeah. Really, it's really wonderful, frankly.
The Excel stuff we covered in the last session.
Just one thing with Excel, though, and pretty much everyone's across this, Python in Excel, it's a big deal because it just means, all these macros that people create in whole VBA, everyone's got Python skills to be able to create your macros in Python. It's actually a massive game changer. And then there's Python plus AI. So essentially AI writes the macro for you in Python. So
wow. Okay.
huge.
I didn't have that sort of context too.
Yeah, like the finance industry runs on Excel macros, so this is actually a massive. It's a big deal. Plus, then Python can do a whole bunch more stuff, analytical stuff as well. So, yeah.
So what you're saying is essentially you don't need that expensive data analyst, or you can pay him less hours because he can use Copilot to decrease the amount of time he's spending to do your work for you. Is that the?
No, I'm saying you can create even more of a mess in Excel than you could. Right.
You can do it faster. Yeah.
Like a god almighty mess, really quickly. Yeah.
All right, and then the Microsoft 365 Admin Center has a Copilot, so it can give you, it can show you things that are going on in your environment. Sorry, mate.
But also, I need to do this thing, and then instead of having to understand that you're going blah 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 blah, it just goes, this is what you do. You do that. Oh, thank you. Like it's so powerful. It just means you can do some really advanced stuff really quickly.
Right. All right, so M365 Admin Center Copilot, so it'll look at your whole environment and will give you things to do, to lock down, to add. So that's come out. And I told you there's a reason we're going to have to do 2 sessions on this. I'm speeding through here. Okay, now we're moving to the Azure AI Foundry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we said it's renamed. They're also they're bringing out an Azure AI agent service.
Yeah.
So this is if you want to do full stack agents, like as you would use in Azure AI, you're going to be able to do that within the AI Foundry. Improved governance, risk and compliance workflows. So this is pretty good. So it can do risk and safety evaluations for image content now.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if people, are going to put out memes or things that they shouldn't, so it's called Azure AI Content Safety. So you can set a policy and it'll prevent the use and sharing and response of unsavory images. So I thought that was good. There's improvements to Azure AI Search. That whole cognitive search is amazing. So you can do things like semantic ranker, upgraded language models to get better responses and improved experiences. It'll integrate in GitHub models. So there's a lot happening in that space. Right. This is the okay. This bit for me, this next thing is I thought was the one that really was one of the things that I thought was the most exciting. It's I don't know if you saw it. It's called Azure AI Content Understanding.
No, I didn't see that one. What's that too?
Okay, so it leverages AI to extract information from unstructured data, such as documents, images, videos, and audio, into structured outputs.
Cool.
So that whole big search problem that we've always had, you can now use this Azure AI content search. So you can have, there's templates there. So I'm going to go into solve some problems. So it can handle diverse data formats. So whether it's documents, images, video, and audio, it improves accuracy. So there's some use cases here that I thought would help explain what's so exciting about this. So examples are things like post-call analytics.
Yeah.
So you can extract analytics on call center or recorded meeting data. So you can aggregate data on sentiment, speakers, content discussed. So imagine if you're running a call center or you've got all these calls or meetings, you can just go and talk to your AI and say, right, find this, what happened there. So it's giving you that ability to analyze audio, which was a real problem before, and also video now.
Yeah, it's massive. If anyone's doing call center analytics, it's not over because you can identify clients that are at risk of leaving.
Yeah.
And then you can start automating a whole bunch of jobs. So hang on, this guy's really angry. The issue wasn't resolved in the call. Can someone please do these things?
Yeah. It's media asset management and content creation assistance. So you can get key features from images and videos to manage media assets. Yep. Enable search on your data so you can find things like brands, key products, people, analyzing insurance claims as things come in. You can, like that whole intelligent document processing, that whole old legacy OCR, well, GPT 4.0, that stuff's gone. And this one I like the most, highlight video reel generation. So you can identify key moments in video, summarize highlights, identify people, the obvious use cases, if you're looking at sports stuff or whatever. So this is now, things that used to be in the realm of digital agency is now in the hands of enterprise businesses.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I don't know about you, but that sort of, that got me excited.
The cool analytics stuff is, all of a sudden when someone calls into someone to speak to someone, to be able to analyze that essentially in real time, it's phenomenal. So if someone says, I need to get something fixed, it can actually log the request for you, or hey, I'm interested in this particular product. It can pull the product information up in front of you.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Oh, hey, blah, blah, blah.
What about things like security videos? So, hey, what happened between 11:12 and 11:50? I think we're all screwed from the police. So instead of having people having to sit and watch security videos, and they'll be able to find your license plate.
Like warehouse, am I running low on stock? I can analyze my video to work that stuff out. Is there a safety, health and safety issue because of the way something's is there a spillage, an issue, concern, like construction sites, shit like. Video analysis is phenomenal. As a data feed, it's really important. There's a lot of stuff to do.
So I to me, this multimodal piece and the fact that it's now there was the most exciting, to me, and the fact that it's now in Teams with that we can have an agent that's analysing, shared content. Yeah. That whole having interaction, not just by prompt now, by voice or video. How we're going to be working in 2 or 3 years, I have no idea, Tom.
Well, that's part of the problem we talked about. Is the challenge is not with the technology; it's actually our ability to interpret it and make it into something.
Yeah,
that's the overwhelming issue at the moment. Is all this technology is available for you. Go and do something with it. It's like, fuck, where do I even start?
Exactly, and everyone's still doing very basic use cases. Yeah. All right. Okay, so the good news is we're getting there. Next one is that do you remember that thing called Azure Stack, Microsoft's hyperconverged solution, where basically it was managed from your Azure portal, but you can have a local instance of it. Yes. So that's been renamed to Azure Local, and has more flexibility in the sort of form factors, so you can have more like IoT devices, or there's much more flexibility. But for customers who want an on-prem hyper-converged solution, and certainly if you have an Azure footprint already, and you're getting pissed off with Broadcom and VMware, well, hey, this could be a really good use case. So all you need is Windows Server Data Center Edition with software assurance. So if you have software assurance, you get Azure Stack / Azure Local already.
This is so good for not basic branch, but you've got like complex branches out there, or medium-sized branches, large branches. This is unreal. I thought this is.
Yeah, and it supports a number of Azure services. So things that are latency sensitive, you can run.
Yeah.
It supports Azure Virtual Desktop on it. So, that's always, that virtual desktop's always an issue. They're going to have validated architecture with Dell, HP, Lenovo, very similar. So that was a new one. And for Oracle customers, so there is now Microsoft Purview integration with Oracle, which was a bit of an issue. And then the last bits, we're now going to talk about Fabric. So Fabric, which is Microsoft's data platform. There's new AI features, so you can do all the things around text summarization, translation, classification, sentiment analysis, all with Fabric. Fabric mirroring, so you can bring data, so anything that's in the Open Parquet data format, wherever it sits. So whether it's in AWS, whether it's in Google or other Snowflake, Databricks, whatever, and even SQL, you can replicate an Oracle. You can mirror your data straight into Fabric and do all the analysis and use AI on it, and Power BI and all that stuff is there. And they've renamed the OneLake management into OneLake Catalog. So it's just whatever their whole management thing is now called OneLake Catalog is their unified solution, so users can explore and govern their data. So that whole AI piece and having AI across your data, whether it's sitting in a data lake, whether it's sitting in third-party data sources, you can replicate that data if it's big data straight into your OneLake. Some of it using shortcuts, which we've spoken about in the past, without moving it. And if you need to replicate it, they have this mirroring functionality as well. So that's also moving. And the last bit of news, Tom, you'll be happy to hear, is SQL Server 2025 is now in private preview. And the couple of things that I saw that were interesting. So it's a vector database straight out of the box. So you can have that cognitive search within your SQL 2025. What else? And it's going to have all that. You can replicate it into Fabric, and you can run, it's built for AI, so you can run your AI on it.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're about halfway through the news, Tom, but that's why we're going to break it into two sessions, because we've gone 48 minutes and we're only halfway done.
Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack in Fabric as well. So it's good. I think you covered the key points with Fabric.
Is there anything you want to talk about on Fabric?
I'm just interested in Fabric. Is it still playing catch up, do you think? Or I feel like it's still a little bit behind. No, you reckon it's...
I'm a Microsoft fan, but I don't think so. I just don't see why you would... I don't see... Up until maybe a couple of years ago, for sure, Microsoft didn't have an answer. Now Fabric there's now full integration with those systems, so you can move your data from Snowflake. I mean, why would you? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like the features they've announced then, that they've been available in those other platforms for a little while, but maybe not at the same level of maturity. So I'd like to know what other people think about this as well, because it's like I'm sort of guided by other people as to what these things do or don't do, but it seems like if you drink the Microsoft Kool-Aid, then it's all about Fabric, because that then enables all your co-pilots and your automation as well. So that makes a lot of sense.
Well, everything's integrated, your security. I mean, that's Microsoft's pitch, right? And they'll bundle it in with your licensing, and you'll get a deal. And and Microsoft, what's their 80% of the functionality at 20% of the price, bundled in with other stuff. That's the strategy, and seems to work for them. So are you okay, Tom? I've belted you with a lot of stuff there. I thought there was a lot of really exciting stuff, and that was why I suppose we wanted to separate it into two sessions, because I didn't want to. There was so much there that I thought was really meaningful, and the stuff that's in Power Platform and a lot of it's Copilot AI based, but there's some really interesting things there. And then within cybersecurity, there is a lot of it that's around Copilot, but there's things that aren't, and I think it deserves. I think it definitely deserves its own session. So we'll bring that out, hopefully, God willing, next week.
Yep, and
if you have time.
You didn't mention the PC, the Link PC.
That's in. I have that. That's it. That's in the next. Damn, you stole my thunder. That was the last bit, and that was the end. That was the last bit. That was the last bit. But yes, that's exciting. So Microsoft are getting in the Chromebook business.
Yeah,
basically.
Expensive though. Just believe that it looks expensive to me, but maybe
it was about $350 US. What's that? About 500 Australian.
But yeah, that's the cheaper. And then you need a PC right behind the scenes.
You need Windows 365. Yeah, for sure. No, it's good. Well, thank you, Tom.
No,
that was good. Hopefully, I didn't talk over you too much. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up while we're here?
I thought the only other one, the really interesting thing was this serverless GPUs. That's actually a big deal too, because if you're embedding your AI models into your infrastructure, having serverless GPUs enables you to then use your GPUs into your copilots as well. So it's worth getting your head around the concept of what that actually means for you and how you actually enable that into your platforms, right?
So what do you mean, as in you can share this GPU power across your other infrastructure? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, essentially you can have your AI model in a serverless GPU, which means that you can then call it. You can actually use that AI. You can, as essentially as a function, you can enable in other parts.
Right. Is this on-prem or in the cloud?
In the cloud.
Right, okay, understand. Oh, that's good. Very cool.
Yeah, so previously you have to have a link to a server, and you have to, every time you call it, you have to start something up, and the dollars are ticking over. So I get it's actually worth understanding what that means.
Well, I saw that and probably I didn't absorb what I was still thinking about image analysis.
So much to get your head around.
I know it's hard. I'm really focused on Microsoft. I'm finding it hard to keep up. Imagine trying to keep up with what Google and Amazon are doing and what everyone else is doing. It would be nigh on impossible. That would be a 24/7. Well, you'd need a Copilot to help you do that. Maybe that's the answer.
Maybe it is, though. Well done, Josh. Good summary.
Thank you, Tom. Well, our weekend much on. Kids, what have you got? Nothing planned?
Yeah. Sports, then family, then more sports as well. So probably same as you. Is that right?
Yeah, nice. Weather's nice for once in Melbourne, so nice quiet. I have a glass of Chardonnay, a cold one waiting for me with a bit of cheese. So
I'm looking forward to it too, Josh, which is good. Thank you.
Because England are getting pumped by New Zealand, so I can't. I have nothing to say. And India. I was very surprised that India smashed Australia. Very surprised.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Anyway, another podcast, another time.
Yes. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We are on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful mugs as well. And I haven't commented on the piano. Tom, do you play the piano, or is that for your children?
I forced my children to play, yes.
Nice. I had the same thing and I was scarred, so I can't go near it without getting a twitch.
Yes. Life.
And if you're listening out there and you feel like you need some help and support with your AI journey or cybersecurity, Empyrean IT, which is the company I happen to be the CEO of, we'd be more than happy to have a chat. If you want to ping me on LinkedIn or send me an email at jrubens@Empyrean IT. We'd love to have a chat. All right. Thanks, everyone, again for listening. Thank you. See you, Tom.